It's me, I'm C, and this is Kickback Astrology. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. Alright, I'm sorry, I quit. But you know what time it is. Grab your guards, grab your woodies, grab your glasses, do what you need to do. Kick back how you kick back. I'ma kick back how I kick back. And let's get into some of these birth charts. Come on with it. So, now let's do some stuff that I found interesting in this chart. First off, his Mercury is in Virgo, which this is what speaks to him being strategic, him knowing, like him seeing other people getting a success from something, taking it, perfecting it, and putting it back out to the world bigger and better. That's his Leo. He's putting it back out into the world bigger. But that Mercury in Virgo allows him to take that all in, take in all the little details, see what everybody is doing. Like he said, he didn't even have the Boonk gang, whole lot of gang. He didn't even have that saying at first. He went back and watched his videos, and he caught himself saying it, just watching his videos back, and he caught on to that. And like it's like I said, that Sun in Leo took it and made it bigger, took it and made it brighter. And that Moon in Aries allowed him to stick to what he knows, because Aries don't necessarily, I would say Sun and Leo allowed him to stick to it, but that Moon in Aries allowed him not to care about what anybody else thought. Like even when people, like he said, a lot of people were telling him to stop doing videos and stop doing that stupid stuff and stop stealing. And he was like, no, I'm going to do what I need to do because this is what's working for me. That's that fixed. But that's also that Aries not caring what anybody else thinks. Because Leo cares. Leo cares. That Moon in Aries is like, no, this is what's working for me. This is what I need to do. F what y'all talking about. Like, that's what I need to do. And then he had that Mercury in Virgo. It's like, okay, my music isn't working. This is how he came up with the whole plan. Okay, my music isn't popping off. Alright. How do I get my music to pop off? Because remember, he's a fix, so he doesn't really want to change. So his Mercury in Virgo said, okay, how do I get my music to pop off? Okay, this is what's popping right now. Alright, I'll take that. Because you know sometimes Leos can jack swag, but they make it bigger and better. But I'll take that. I'll put my thing on it, and I'll put it back out there. And then I'll make money. I'll find a way to make money off of it, because he said he wasn't making money off of it at first. So originally it was just to get his music popping. So it was a whole plan from the beginning. He never even intended to be big for what he was big for. This was all a plan to get his music going, which is his creative passion, Sun and Leo. And it's all based around who? Him, Moon and Aries. His life is solely based around him, what he can provide, his talent, him getting on camera. It's revolved around him. It's not him managing somebody else. It's not, no, it's him. It's about him. His music is about him. So that's that Moon in Aries. But that Mercury in Virgo allowed him to see, okay, bam, the strategy. When you think Virgo, think strategy. It could be a Scorpio thing too, but Virgo is more mercurial, less manipulative, more of a, okay, step by step. Think, on the syllabus it has the bullet points. Think of bullet points when you think of Virgo. Like, it's just step, that. So he's just like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And he stuck to the plan. Remember that, he stuck to the plan. So he did go and he did get popping, he did stop doing those videos, and then he did start promoting his music. So that's that Mercury in Virgo, I'm telling you. Just having that many different things going on. Most people have one track They're like, okay, I'm doing music, my music ain't working out, okay, I'm gonna go do this. Alright, most people aren't going to double back and do all this, and that. Like, most people aren't going to. That's his Mercury in Virgo. Very detail oriented, very focused on communicating. Because remember, Virgo, dark side of Mercury, so very communication focused. That's how he is. So these alignments are what I really think makes Boonk Boonk. So he has Sun opposite Uranus and Sun conjunct Lilith. Take that in for a second. Sun opposite Uranus, you know, opposition. We beefed out. We got problems. What's up? Like, you know, opposition, we're on two totally different ends of the spectrum, trying to figure out where to meet. Sometimes I'm over here, sometimes I'm all the way over here, not halfway like a square. No, none of that. Two totally different ends of the spectrum. So he has his sun in Leo, and then he has his Uranus in Aquarius. And you know, Uranus is the home of Aquarius. Aquarius is the home of Uranus. It's really the 11th house, but it's neither here nor there. So Uranus is chilling. His Uranus is chilling. I'm at home, kicking it, I'm eating, I'm chilling, doing what I want to do, getting it how I want to live. Then, because you know Aquarius is all about freedom and technology, and I'm Uranus dominant, so and being different and revolution and rebellion, that's all Uranus. So on the let's say Aquarius, that's all Aquarius. So on the other end of the spectrum, you have Leo. What is Leo about? And Aquarius is very worldly, so remember that. Leo is more about me. How am I going to create something? How am I going to live? How am I going to get money? That's more of what Leo is about. Look at me. This is mine. That's more of a Leo mindset on things. So you can see those are two totally different things. And Aquarius is more so, I don't need this. I have enough. Here you go. Like in Aquarius, I see you need it more than I do. Like, I'm good. Here you go. That's more of the Aquarius energy. Leo is like, this is mine. Like, all of this is mine. Like, I don't have to give it to you. Like, this is mine. Like, if I'm feeling it, like, if I feel like you need it or you ask me for something, I might give you something. Like, Leo is generous, but, like, they feel in no way obligated or responsible for what anybody else in the world has going on. They only feel responsible for themselves and their immediate circle. And Aquarius isn't like that. And Aquarius cares about the world and what's going on in the world. So with his sun, his ego, who he feels he is, his soul, what he's kind of going for, is that fixed fire, is that Leo, look at me energy. So with his sun wanting to really just express himself and me, and his Uranus and Aquarius saying give, pretty much, be about the world. He doesn't know how. I wouldn't say how to care, because Aquarius doesn't necessarily care either. Aquarius is more about the good of the world, what's right, like the ultimate truth, kind of. Like, it's not really about personally caring either, but it is about giving freely without expecting things in return, so to speak. So, just because it's the right thing to do. So, and a Leo doesn't know how to do that. A Leo needs his credit. A Leo needs his, he needs his mane stroked. So, with that opposition, with that beef going on, it's like, it's about me. It's about me. I love me. Me. Look at me. I need this. I need that. And it's like, this is the truth. This is all. This is what you should be doing. This is what's going on in the world. This is for the ultimate good. This is what you really need to be doing, right? And it's that conflict, but it's also random. So remember, because Uranus can bring sudden ups and downs as well. But sudden ups and downs that it can lead to positive or negative. So you can be suddenly good things can happen, suddenly bad things can happen. But sometimes it can lead to like 15 minutes of fame or stuff like that. So, because when Uranus hits, it hits hard, but you also fall just as hard. So remember that. So you see how he got famous really quick. His ego, Sun opposed Uranus, right? But you see how just as quick people started to hate him. People turned on him. People started judging him just as quickly. And this also has to do with why he chooses to look the way that he looks. Because you remember, your sun is your ego. If we knew his rising sun, it would be a lot easier. But Lilith also has to do with the way he looks too. But that has to do with why he's always shining. Because he doesn't really know how to bring his uniqueness together with his ego. So he doesn't really, because your ego is how you express yourself. So he doesn't really know how to express his Uranus in a way, well, his uniqueness in a way that would be acceptable to the outside world. So he sometimes ends up feeling like the black sheep or like an outsider or an outcast because he can't bring those two together. So sometimes he's super different and super revolutionary, super just, you know how Uranus is. He's just, different, rebellious, says what he wants, kind of rounds, shakes people up. Aquarius likes to talk a lot of trash, so he's like that, right? And then sometimes he's all the way on the other end, where he wants to, like, on this end, he wants to, like, give to people, and he's just trying to do the right thing, right? Because like, when you saw him, like, trying to go to school for the kids and they wouldn't let him in, like Sun opposite Uranus stuff. Sun opposite Uranus stuff. He was trying to do the right thing. He's in that Uranus and Aquarius trying to give back, trying to be free and give money to the kids, but then what happened? They wouldn't let him in. So bam, he went back to the other end of the spectrum. Leo, y'all ain't gonna let me in? Now you ain't gonna let me in. Alright, I'm gonna do what I wanna do anyway. I'm gonna throw this money over the fence. That's his sun in Leo. How you ain't gonna let me do? What you mean you ain't gonna let me do me? Like, I'm me. Like, his Leo kicked in. Like, that's where that opposition comes in. Like, stuff like that. Like, where he wants to do right, but that ego, he really does. Like, but it's a tug of war, back and forth. It's back and forth. So he also has Sun conjunct Lilith. Now, Lilith, although there aren't many clear definitions, I'm familiar enough to discuss it a little bit. So Lilith is said to be, I have Lilith in my first house, so I've researched it. Lilith is said to be well, they say it was Adam's first wife, and then she wanted to be considered equal to him, so she was shunned by everyone, and she went out and she was bitter, and then she became vengeful and she became dark. But they say it's the wild feminine, so it's a wild feminine energy. So like just your pure animal instinct on a feminine level, because when we think animal instinct, we usually think male, like ravage, like that's what we usually think of. But this is said to be the feminine version, where she kind of uses her wiles for her benefit, so to speak, not necessarily bow to a man or come second to a man. She uses her body for what she wants to do with her body, and she's very in her own bubble, so to speak, and she really doesn't really care to keep up with societal norms or what society has going on, because like I said, she was supposed to lay with her husband a certain way, and she didn't, and she was shunned, but she didn't back down from her gun. She just took her punishment straight on. So you have to think of that when you think of Lilith. So this is someone who's not going to necessarily back down. They'll deal with the black sheep feeling, so to speak. That's Lilith. Lilith is, they kind of portray her as a temptress, but not in the Venusian, Martian way, more in a wild, untamed way. Like, the girl that the man wants but he can't have, but that just makes him want her more. That's more of like the Lilith energy. So his sun is conjunct Lilith, and he's not a woman, so it may not come through as strong, but I think that this is, with his ego being attached to Lilith, this is what makes him do the social experiments that he does, along with the sun opposite Uranus, because remember, Uranus, it has to do with society, but I think it's more of the sun conjunct Lilith, because he's pretty much saying, F the rules. Like, F the rules of society, I'm gonna do what I want. That's kind of a Lilith attitude. Like, I'm going to come in this room, I'm going to do what I want, then I'm going to leave, and you're going to leave me be. Or whatever does come my way, I'll take that. Like, I'm cool with that. Like, okay. And I'm unfazed. That's kind of Lilith's energy. Even though you may be phased, what Lilith is going to give out to you, like, okay, and so that's why he does the things that he does. Like, they're like stealing, like, they against stealing, but that also has to do with his moon in Aries, because remember, Aries, aggression, think robbery, stealing, breaking it. Aries, that's Aries, guns, that's Aries. But just going against the grain society, and then record, like, think of what he's doing. He knows he's breaking the law, and he's recording it and pretty much putting up a finger to the police and everybody. That's pretty much a middle finger to them. Like, what you gonna? That's sun conjunct Lilith. And then when he gets caught, he goes to court, he takes his lickings, and he keeps on ticking, and then he moves on to another place and does it all over again. Like, that is so sun conjunct Lilith, because it's like you're living in the society, right? But you feel like it's against you, because remember, Lilith was shunned. So you're taking your sun, right, and you're putting that black sheep energy on it. So you're like putting a light on that black. So you're actively being the black sheep, the not necessarily a rebel in the sense of Uranus, but like, it's like, it's bad, but you still want it. Like, that's kind of the vibe he gives people. That's why he gives you that feeling when you're like, this is so stupid, like, but I can't stop watching it. Like, that's that sun conjunct Lilith, because it's like, it's so bad that it's good. Like, I don't know, because it's like, not really the forbidden fruit, because it's not really the forbidden fruit, but it's like, I'm not gonna do what you say. Like, I'm gonna do what I want, regardless of if I need to go through hell or high water. Like, that's the Lilith energy. Like, okay, I'll take that. I'll take on the whole room. That's cool. That seems plausible. Like it may know that you can't do it. Like, but we'll still go because they're just Lilith is just like I said. It's the ultimate feminine energy. It's like that warrior, wild, feminine energy. It's not masculine. It's feminine. So it's not as in your face, but it's like I said, it's like that person across the room that you can't stop looking, like you want them, but like they don't seem to be messing with nobody. But like everybody wants them, but they aren't messing with anybody. And you're like, what's up with them? Like, why aren't they? That's that love energy, like just something you want, everybody wants, but they can't have. Like they're gonna try to dictate, or this can bring not necessarily controlling nature, but trying to have things your way. Like, not in a manipulative Scorpio way, but like you dictate the rules in your life. And that's just what it is. And that's just reinforcing that Leo fixed energy that he already has. But this Lilith can also lead him to like it's wild energy. So what can wild energy can go off. Primal energy can go off. Primal energy isn't predictable. Like it's primal energy. You can't control it. So he will not be controlled by any means. Period. Point blank. By society, by his mom, by his dad. If you probably looked into his life, he probably was that kid who no one could say anything to. He probably was quick because remember his Mercury's in Virgo, so he's probably smart. He may not necessarily have been book smart, but you know how someone is just quick witted, like you could tell they're a quick thinker, they figure things out well. He was probably that guy, but he always needed attention, Sun and Leo, and he was prone to violence and prone to react quickly to things and not necessarily think about it. Think Moon in Aries. So, with that being said, ooh, that was deep. I got into his chart. What else we got? See if it's any more interesting. He also has Venus conjunct Mars, which I discussed in another video. But Venus conjunct Mars, that's just Venus is the way you relate, and Mars is your action. So you could be very relative in when you're trying to accomplish things, or when you're trying to go out and do something. But like I said, that fire can burn out quickly. So a lot of your relationships can burn out quickly. You can be too aggressive in your relationships. You can be pushy, or you can be too relative. You can go either way. Remember, it's a conjunction. But for the most part, love and sex is combined for you, so that's a good thing for him. But his Venus is in Gemini. His Venus is in Gemini. And you know, Geminis, let's say they have an eclectic palate. Let's say that. We aren't going to call them any derogatory terms. We're going to say they have eclectic palates. So Gemini can get around. So with his Venus being in Gemini, you have to keep him mentally stimulated. You have to keep him stimulated mentally. If you cannot keep up with him mentally, he's probably not going to look at you that way. Honestly. Because Gemini is all about the mind, so he probably likes women that talk a lot. Probably gets on his nerves because he has a Sun in Leo and he wants to talk about himself, but he has to be stimulated. And he probably has like 2 or 3 girlfriends at a time with his Venus being in Gemini. I'm just going to be honest. It would be worse if his Mars is in Gemini because he's a man, but with that Venus being in Gemini, that can have the same effect because he isn't necessarily going to find everything he wants in one chick. One chick probably has this, one chick probably has that, other chick has that. And he can compartmentalize because remember, he's a Gemini. He has that Mercury. His mind is quick. He's quick. He can compartmentalize when it comes to love, not necessarily other things. But when it comes to love, he can compartmentalize. So he can have a girlfriend over in Ohio that he has a relationship with. He can have a girlfriend over in Florida that he got a relationship with. He can have a girlfriend over in Idaho that he has a relationship with. He can have 6 different girlfriends and keep up with the information. Remember, Gemini, and keep up with it. Now, he's probably going to get caught eventually, but he can do that. That's within him to do. But his Mars is in Cancer, so remember, he's emotional. So he probably has genuine relationships with him. He probably has his Venus and Mars are conjuncted his Mars in Cancer. So he probably has genuine relationships with like 3 chicks. Like that are really his girlfriends. He really loves all of them. He really is trying to be like their number one. But he has 3 girlfriends. Like, you see how that doesn't add up. And then he has a sun in Leo, so he already thinks he's the center of everything. And a moon in Aries, so he only cares about how he feels about it. So he's not really thinking about their feelings at all. So there's that situation. Just being honest. And also another thing with his sun being opposite Uranus, he can have sudden upheavals in his life and have things happen to him and not realize how his actions or how he's behaving is causing it. Because remember, Uranus, sudden upheaval, sudden rebellion, uniqueness, opposing his sun, who he is, how he acts, who he chooses to be. So sometimes he doesn't see how he behaves results in these sudden changes, these sudden rebellions, this these unique situations that he finds himself in. He doesn't really relate his situation, what he's doing, to the situations that he's in. So he's just going around causing all kinds of problems, and he's not really thinking that it's him. He's thinking that these things are just happening from the outside, because remember, it's an opposition, the outside. So he's thinking these sudden upheaval, he probably blames everybody else. He's probably like, oh, the world's just against me. And it's like, no, bro, you did this. This is what made this happen. But sometimes he can't see that because, like I said, he has his Uranus opposite his sun. And he probably has trouble with being original sometimes. Like I said, his first video was a copy. So he probably has trouble being original sometimes. He probably has trouble going outside of the box because a Leo wants to be accepted. And Aquarius doesn't really care whether or not they're accepted. They care about their ultimate truth. They care about their idea. That's what they're trying to spread. It's not really about them per se. So he has trouble with that. Now, another aspect that I found interesting in his chart was his Mars is square Saturn. And with his Mars square Saturn, Saturn is discipline. Saturn is your foundation. Saturn is your lessons. That's what Saturn represents. So his drive and his passion and what he's trying to do is conflicted with his discipline, his responsibility, kind of what you need to do almost in a way. So like, he's just doing stuff and really not even considering how it'll affect him, not necessarily in the long run. Really, he's not really considering how it affects him in the long run and the responsibility he has. So that can lead him in some terrible situations. Terrible. But he has to learn, because with the square, you're learning how to make them work. So he has to learn how to take responsibility, really. Just how to take responsibility for your actions. You have to take responsibility for your actions. Period, point blank. And you have to consider your responsibilities while you're acting. You can't act and then be like, dang, I have to take care of this and this. Oh, dang, I should have did something else. Like, he probably has those moments a lot. Like, oh, dang, why did I do that? Like, I gotta do this, and I put this, and this in jeopardy. Because remember, he has Mercury in Virgo, so he's thinking about the details, but he's not incorporating what he needs to do. So, let's say, because Mars is more what you want to do. So, let's say, man, I want to turn it. Like, let's say he wants to turn up, right? He's like, I want to turn up, right? I got work in the morning. I got work, Saturn work, right? I didn't turn up, but I gotta work in the morning. Like, now, if he had an opposition, he might go turn up and call off work. Like, he might not even care about work if it was an opposition. But with the square, he might try to go to work. He might go to work. Like, he might go party, go to work, and get fired. Like, that's the square. Like, he tried to do right. Like, he thought he had it all together. Like, but at the end of the day, it all fell down. He really didn't have anything in control. Like, that's the Mars square Saturn energy. Like, he wanted to turn up. He went out to turn up, right? Went to work the next day and got fired. Like, if he would have just, like, if he was in opposition, he would have just called off, like, took his little points or whatever. But he ended up going to work, getting into it with somebody, and getting fired. Mars square Saturn. Like, you were trying to be disciplined, right? But within that discipline, you weren't disciplined. Like, you were trying to be disciplined, but within the discipline act, you weren't disciplined. Because you went to work, right? You was like, I turned up and I made it to work. Oh, I'm it, right? And then you go to work and cuss somebody out. Like, bruh. And get fired. That's Mars square Saturn. Like, your foundation is now ruined and you gotta build another one. But you have to learn to incorporate that stability. You have to learn how to incorporate that mindset of being responsible before you act. You have to lay out a plan, a foundation. What are you trying to accomplish with this before you act? You can't act and then try to wiggle your way into it and wiggle your way out of stuff, and at the end of the day you don't end up accomplishing anything because you didn't have a goal to begin with. Like, that's what can happen with Mars square Saturn. Other than that, I think that's the last. Oh, he also has his moon conjunct Saturn, which is interesting. Very interesting. Because with his moon conjunct Saturn, that could give him a self-esteem issue as far as dealing with his emotions, because he tries to hide how he feels all of the time. Like, he tries to hide how he feels. Like, and when you do that, sometimes that can lead to depression and brooding and resentment. So he tries to hide how he feels from people. But he's also very see, this is one of the redeeming aspects, even though it's not a great aspect. This gives him some aspect of responsibility, because all of his other placements, let's be honest, he just wasn't. He just doesn't have that chart. He doesn't have the chart of an upstanding, responsible, go to work, wake up, go to, like, he just, no, that's just not the life that was meant for him. Straight up. But this moon conjunct Saturn makes him a lot more responsible. He probably is able to focus when he needs to. Not necessarily when he wants to, but when he really needs to buckle down, he probably can. But this also shows that he probably had a lot of hardship growing up, which he said he did, because I've seen some videos where he said he did. He went through a lot with his mom, and that can be indicated with moon conjunct Saturn. But when he needs to buckle down, he can. When he needs to focus, he can. It's not. Saturn is not necessarily a big part of his chart, but that moon conjunct Saturn is definitely helping him because he has that wild Aries energy, and that Saturn kind of brings it down. Not necessarily a good thing all of the time, but that moon conjunct Saturn definitely. That's how he's able to do what he's doing now, because otherwise he would probably be very inconsistent. But he's also very hard on himself. Very hard on himself. But then he has all that fire, so this is when he's like alone at night by himself with his eyes closed when he has to think about stuff. That's probably why he had that drug issue, and he has some other things in his chart, but that probably contributed. He's probably depressed when he's at home late at night because he feels negatively. Moon is your feelings. It's conjunct Saturn. Saturn is necessarily negative, but it's a bunch of lessons. It's a bunch of, Saturn is not a light planet. It's a heavy, heavy planet. So that probably weighs heavy on him at night. He probably has trouble sleeping. That's probably why he does all those drugs. And he's a Sun in Leo and a Moon in Aries, so he just kind of on the go. He just kind of wants to be in everything and do everything. He also has his Moon square Jupiter, so he probably doesn't feel very lucky. Because remember, he has Saturn conjunct his Moon, so that's already weighing him down. But then it's square Jupiter. Jupiter is how you feel lucky. Jupiter is your luck, it's your jackpot. You hit the jackpot. Jupiter is, if you go this route, you will have the most luck. Jupiter's expansion, it will expand anything it comes into contact with, right? So you're taking that planet and it's square your moon. It's square, so you don't feel lucky. You don't feel like you're growing sometimes. You don't feel, because Jupiter can do a lot with spirituality as well. It rules Sagittarius and Pisces. So you don't really feel in touch with the higher power sometimes. Sometimes you just feel like you're here by yourself. But sometimes you do, because remember, it's a square. It's not in opposition. When you're trying to learn how to bring it together, you never really consistently feel that way. Because I feel like a square doesn't necessarily mean that you never exercise the energy. You exercise the energy in the wrong way or at the wrong time. It doesn't all come together. So, yeah, he needs to get a little bit more optimistic. He's not for a Leo, he has a lot of things draining that fire energy he has to bring him down some. I think that's what it just balances him out some. But aside from that, I think that's most of the interesting stuff in his chart. That was interesting. That was fun. Boonk has an interesting chart. But he's doing what he's meant to do. Like, he was meant to do something in the public eye. He's really being true to his chart, I think. Because, think about it. He had everybody's attention. He still gets a lot of attention. What do you have, like 5 million followers, right? Sun in Leo, Moon in Aries. He's taking something. He's going to get it. Literally, he's going to get it, right? That's Moon in Aries. And then he flipped it. And he's not changing for anyone. Sun conjunct Lilith. Not changing for anyone. And with this Sun conjunct Lilith, it can be dark though. And I think that's also with this sex tape may have came from. And he has Venus in Gemini with Sun conjunct Lilith. So it was probably like a random too. And he just like draws people in because Lilith can draw people in, so he just draws people in. He has Sun and Leo, so that's making it brighter. That's crazy, but this was fun. That's Boonk's chart. So that was part 4 of Boonk's chart. We learned a little bit about his Sun and Leo and his moon and Aries. Got a lot of fire going on in his chart. Likes to light the place up for best, say for better or for worse. He gonna light it up. And then we learned about his Mars in Cancer. He had to put a little water on it, douse the fire out every now and then. And then we got into some of those aspects. So now we got a little better picture of old Boonk and see what he's going through, why he's doing a little bit what he's doing. Not all of it, because, you know, that would take all day. But he definitely have a better understanding of Mr. Boonk. And hopefully he'll get it together, pull himself together, and be able to make this thing work out. Because, you know me, I want what's best for everybody. Hey, I can respect the hustle. You feel me? I can respect the hustle. But as always, thanks for watching.